The FIA Karting European Championships for gearbox racers commences at Adria Raceway, the circuit just an hour away from Venice, celebrating its 20th year of operation, home to both car racing and, of course, karting. Drivers from KZ and KZ2 gather for the first of 2 weekends for the pinnacle campaign of the karting season. Plus, it's a welcome return for the FIA Karting Academy Trophy for its 11th annual running. Of course, there are still some tough times ahead of us as the karting world continues to come to terms with the new global pandemic, as the outbreak of COVID-19 has changed the routines and protocols of the karting community. And with the sad passing of KZ2 racer Konstantin Kapitanidis a week before the event, the mood in the paddock is a little subdued. But as always, the show must go on. And for our gearbox and academy racers, the stage is set for some exciting karting in the intense Venetian heat. Out of the final corner and Matteo Vigano is on the home straight at Adria. Let's ride aboard the Leclerc chassis on a lap of the circuit. Flat out through turn 1 and the second corner isn't easy. Lift off the throttle and just a pinch of brake before drifting the kart to the middle of the corner and blending back on the power. The third corner starts fairly open, then tightens through the left-hander before an aggressive right-hand kink. Now along the back straight and into a tight left hairpin, placing the kart in the middle of the circuit for the perfect line out of the turn before a sharp right which brings you up to 2 complex hairpins. Start the turn in early for the right, then guide the kart through with a nudge on the right pedal before a big stop on the brakes for the left-hander. Very easy to lock up here. Flat through the next left with a delicate line, then hold the inside to prevent an overtake from behind and coax the kart around the apex. All you need from there is a hop over the left-hand curb and a gentle lift into the final corner before blasting down the home stretch one more time. Overtaking is hard and tyre wear is very high. This year's FIA Karting Academy Trophy will see young racers from all over the world compete to claim the most coveted prize in one-make junior karting. With a level playing field, the racers all have the same machinery, the Expert chassis, the Vortex engine and Vega tyres. And the drivers have not been permitted to test the karts prior to the event, so the competition will be based on pure raw talent. 3 current Formula 1 drivers began their journey to the top in this category, and many more have progressed to the top of world karting and car racing. So it's time to discover who could be next to join them.
Yeah, safety is paramount. We are in a period of time where we need to be safe, to be socially accepted. Society has moved on and racing moved on. We had, of course, the very decisive moments of Ayrton Senna and Roland Ratzenberger. And this safety emotion has also continued into the karting. And karting is quite different to racing safety because obviously you are in a small chassis without seatbelt and roll bar. And I'm lucky enough to be involved in some of the research commissions of the FIA and the CRK. And it's very reassuring to know that they really put a large effort into safety for the karting, for the kids, for the seniors, for the shifters, for all of the categories.
From pole position, Connor Zilic led into the first corner, with Jonathan Waywat sliding into second place past Maxim Furon-Castellen. With the field sweeping through turn 2, everything looked close but steady. That all came undone as Keanu Alajari tangled with Tom Braken, and try as they might, the field attempted to avoid them. Alas, Thomas Veilentas, Kalian Vabatsaliev, Zachary David and Christian Pastrian could not, and all 6 drivers would be eliminated together at the edge of turn 3. Retiring from the race so early in such a manner is very frustrating, and now they'll have to wait for round 2 to bounce back. For Vabatsaliev and Pastrian, it was all too much to bear. Incredible work from the marshals meant that the race wouldn't even be neutralised. Yellow flags would fly, preventing any overtaking for the opening 2 laps in the first sector, and the race continued with 6 angry retirements. Behind Zilic were Alex Powell of Jamaica and Santiago Valve of Spain, with Waywat and Furon-Castellen held up, having to avoid the carnage. Whilst out of the final corner, Maceo Capieto and Bart Pikotowski very nearly threw their entire weekends away. Elsewhere, Ariel Elkin's race ended abruptly and he became the race's 7th spectator, with Sweden's Albin Studesson returning to the pitch shortly after. Yet another sad end to 2 fine debuts. Jaden Tian made his move on Bart Pikotowski and it almost caused chaos, but both men recovered quickly without losing places as the field behind them bunched up. Ferran Castellén was now working with Capieto to close in on the leaders, whilst Waywat recovered from the time lost in the first lap crash to overtake Valvet for third, leaving the young man from Luxembourg behind to maintain position by defending frantically from the Frenchman. It wouldn't take long for Ferran Castellén to mount his own challenge, and he passed Valvet on the inside line at turn 8, but the Spaniard had to let Capieto and Peruvian star Rafael Modenese pass as well, dropping from 4th to 7th. Modenese wasn't done yet, and his move on Capieto into turn 10 elevated him to 5th. But ahead of them, Waywat had caught Powell and didn't wait around to move up into 2nd. Within a couple of laps, Ferran Castellén had caught the Jamaican too, and he made his bid for 3rd and made it stick. Shudazono and Georgios Kapantaris were having a great battle, but it would be the Greek star that ended early, and it would be a bitter pill to swallow, having made up 14 places from his starting position at the time of his spin. Powell would then lose another place to Rafael Modenese as the fearless Peruvian continued his run through the field, whilst further back, an epic scrap was ensuing between Matteo De Palo, Aaron Reshepi, Adam Kowalski and Gianni Andrezzani, with Alexei Yeleva joining in after an excellent slingshot at the hairpin. Ferran Castellén then made his move for 2nd at turn 2, and there was nothing his Danish opponent could do to retaliate, especially when the Luxembourger decided that 2nd was all he could obtain from the race and started to defend his line with pure resilience. Estonia's Juusepp Planken found his feet to get past Jaden Tian as the two men scrabbled for a decent finish. And up ahead, Modenese made a run for the podium and surged into 3rd position, with Waywat, Powell and Capieto all trying to reach the rostrum. But things were just getting started. The battle that followed would be fierce, as Waywat would pass Modenese heading into turn 3 as the quartet passed the debris of the first corner crash. And then Powell would pass him too, assisted by Capieto into turn 5. It was all a hoax move though, as Capieto would catch them both out heading into turn 6 and overtake both men to creep up to 4th position. And despite their attempts to fight back into contention, the Frenchman had won the fight. But nobody could catch the unstoppable American up front, as Conor Zilic stormed to an emphatic victory in truly extraordinary fashion, and he now leads the title race with the maximum 35 points, 6 clear of Ferran Castellén. So with an American, a Luxembourger and a Dane on the podium, the battle for the Academy Trophy 2020 has truly begun.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. In qualifying, I struggled a little bit with the pace. I qualified 9th in the heats. We found some speed and were able to start on pole for the final. And in the final, it was a close start for the first 3 corners, and then after that I looked back and I had a little bit of a gap. And from there on, it was smooth sailing, and I was able to pull away and win by 4.8 seconds, so it was a very good final. Yeah, I feel good with the championship lead, maximum points, 45 points this weekend. I'm ready for the next race.
Yeah, I was really happy after the final, but I know I can do better. But I really think for the next one and for the Academy, I can do really good all the years, so really proud and happy. Like the start was difficult, start outside, but like the first lap was good, a mistake, but after better and better, so and finished 2, so really good.
KZ2 is the gateway to superstardom for many young racers around the world. With gearbox karting providing the ultimate challenge, drivers will struggle to tame this wild machine with its 125cc 2-stroke water-cooled engine, manual clutch and 6-speed sequential gearbox. It's probably the most physical discipline of motorsport in the world, but master it and you can proudly call yourself a driving genius. Victor Gustafsson launched away from the grid to remain in front of Simone Cunati, with Giuseppe Palomba just managing to remain ahead of the hard-charging Paavo Tonteri. Giacomo Pellini ran in 5th, and Leonardo Marsiglia slotted in behind in 6th. It would on the whole be a clean start through the first sector, with only one driver being spat out of the cavalcade later in the lap. Leonardo Bisotto parked up at the side of the road to end a frustrating weekend aboard his Formula K chassis. Back at the front, Tonteri became impatient and decided to make a lunge on Palomba, but the Italian wouldn't budge, allowing Leonardo Marsiglia to close in. Meanwhile, a horrible weekend for Alessio Pacini came to an end after a few short laps, along with Jean Nomblo and Daniel Vasile, who both could have been on the podium. Tom Lulet dived for the inside of Marsiglia and caught the Italian off guard, and a few laps later, his hesitation allowed Artur Carbonell a chance to move forward, which Davide De Marco took advantage of instead. Gustafsson was alone out in front and was looking calm and composed at the head of the pack. Simone Cunati was under massive pressure from Palomba, who was pushing hard, motivated and determined. Lap after lap, he tried his best to make it work, and Cunati never allowed it. Eventually, Tonteri was now trying his best to move up into 3rd, and as Palomba needed to change lines to keep his podium, his challenge waned as he had to both defend and attack in the same moment. Tonteri tried again and again to pass, only giving Lulet a chance to close in and making his own challenge harder to sustain. When the Praga couldn't make the move, he ended up losing ground, and as Marsiglia, De Marco and Carbonell queued up behind him, unable to overtake as well, the tough nature of the Adria circuit became all too apparent. Palomba would try one more time to pass Cunati and then elected to settle for 3rd when the gap did not materialise. A race with few overtakes, but plenty of intrigue. An astonishing 5 seconds up the road, Victor Gustafsson claimed victory, becoming the second Swede in as many years to win the opening round of the KZ2 European Championship. 2 Italians joined him on the podium on home soil, as Simone Cunati and Giuseppe Palomba followed him across the line. It's also a big moment for Leclerc by Lennox Racing, as the team bags its first FIA win in its first attempt, and Gustafsson now leads the way, with the maximum 35 points, heading to the finale in 3 weeks' time.
I mean, it was perfect, got off to a good start, and I knew our pace was really good. Case of managing the race and not doing any mistakes, and I knew we'd be there. No, I really didn't think of the final. Just had head down and just try to do my best. It's all you can do, and it paid off. I'd say it's a perfect start, makes life a bit easy for us, and now we just have to do the same thing again in the second round. Try to make everything perfect like we did here, and we should be good.
I think that was a great weekend for us. The final were really difficult because for us it's the second race with the new material. So we try to do an experiment, and the first part were really good, and after 5 or 6 laps I start to slide everywhere, so it was difficult, but I'm really happy for today. I hope last year we were really fast in Wackersdorf, so I'll try to do my best, and we'll see what we can do.
Let's say that we struggled a bit. I was unfortunately behind second for a long time. I had a little bit more speed, but I was unable to overtake him. But I didn't want to throw away the race, let's say the opportunity, by making a risky overtaking move. So I kept the 3rd position, and we will see in the second weekend if I can give my very best. Surely in the next race I will not give anyone any favours, and we will be very strong. Thanks to my team, they've worked very well, and the whole Birol Art crew have been amazing. Certainly we will give our best, and we will try to do everything possible to win the European Championship.
We went into the weekend very confident. Obviously we'd done a previous race here after the quarantine ended in Italy. and we prepared well for that race, obviously in preparation for the official European round. Victor, didn't put a foot wrong all weekend. P2 in qualifying, it was good enough for us, and in the heat races, once again, kept his head very cool. Paced himself in every single race, as I'm sure you all saw, posting fastest laps at the end when some people were even going slower. So he's done a cracking job as a driver this weekend, and I can't fault him there. And the team, the mechanics, telemetry guys have just put it all together, and a solid performance. 100%. You look at the KZ2 category, the KZ1 category. The Birol Art TM product is dominating, so if it's Lonato, where they won the World Championship last year, which is a very stop and start track, whereas here's more progressive with faster corners, and we show in any kind of circumstance we're competitive. So no matter where the next race will be, once we find out, I'm sure everything will work well.
Let me show you my KZ and the biggest difference between KZ and KZ2. Between KZ and OK chassis. Between KZ and KZ2, just the weight, 5 kilos, less for the KZ. We start with the clutch, which is very important to start. You have to hold it with the first gear in and then leave it to start, which is very important. Then we have the gear thing, where you put here on the engine. First forward, all up the back, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And going down, forward again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And between the first and the second, you have the neutral. So here we have the braking system, which is it's only one push with the pedal, and it works all front and rear brake. Here you have the balance regulation, which you can go as you prefer. Like if you need more forward brake, more front brake, you just go forward with this thing, or if you need back, you just go back, and you can set as you want. Here you have the start lane, which is a data system, and it shows you the water temperature, to see from here, the exhaust temperature, and the lap time when you drive. Here you have the silencer, which has to be homologated from FIA. Here you have the radiator, where you put the water inside. Let's go inside here and go out here to cool down the engine. You see the water temp, where in winter you can handle with a thing here that cover up as you need, as hot as you need, you move, but in the summer you don't need. Here is the sprocket thing, this thing, and I had the carburetor. This is 30 dell'Orto, and I think that's all. The biggest difference between KZ and KZ2 is just the weight, 5 kilos, and that's it.
As the lights went out, Simo Puhaka launched into the lead from Alessandro Orlando. But the Birol Art sensationally stormed up the inside of the Tony kart in the second corner, and Matteo Vigano in the Leclerc snatched second as the door remained open. With two brands from the Birol Art group at the front, Marin Kramers was determined to make it a third, and he grabbed the first chance he was given on the opening lap to edge his Ricciardo kart past Puhaka for third at turn 6. But the Finns simply would not be denied, retaking the position instantly, and Kramers nearly lost out to Lorenzo Camplese in the process. Riccardo Longhi was running well ahead of Mirko Tozzolini, and Fabian Federer had made a strong start to pick up places on the opening tour aboard his Maranello. An exciting first lap gave us plenty of expectation for the racing to come, as heading down the main straight, Davide Fore showed the world he still had plenty of determination with a move into turn 1. But for Stan Peck's mechanical failure denied him a strong finish. Things became a little slippery for Mirko Tozzolini, and as the Kart Republic ran wide, both Noah Milel and Adrian Renaudin swept by, but Jorrit Pex couldn't quite move up in unison. Riccardo Longhi was ready to pass Marin Kramers, but the reigning world champion was unwilling to yield. Fortunately for Longhi, he had more power in reserve, and a little patience plus a decent gap gave him the move he needed into turn 6. Camplese was given a glimmer of hope by the move, but Kramers instantly extinguished it. This was the nudge in the arm that Fabian Federer needed to rise up the ranks, and a lap later, the German star made the smallest gap in history become a genuine overtake with a sensational move. Taken by surprise, this sadly opened the floodgates for Camplese, and he soon lost out, first to Noah Milel, then to Adrian Renaudin, and finally to Mirko Tozzolini. But the big drama was still to come. Tragically, just as Vigano was catching Orlando for the victory, his engine dramatically seized. Puhaca was lucky to continue after tapping his kart, and the win vanished. For the Italian who hoped 2020 would be his year, Matteo Vigano would be devastated. Leclerc by Lennox was on the verge of the first clean sweep of KZ and KZ2 victories in a final for years. But as one Italian in the Birolart group began his year in dejection and frustration, the other would emerge victorious, in complete contrast to last season. So as Vigano walked away empty-handed and wondering what might have been, Alessandro Orlando marched on to victory, a whisker ahead of Simo Puhaca and Riccardo Longhi. "2019 was a campaign full of bad luck for Orlando, so perhaps 2020 will be a completely different story."
The start was pretty good. Then I overtook Simo at the end of the turn one. From that moment I was first, and I just think about lead all the race and take my pace through the end. And yeah, I win it. I'm really happy for the results. The team deserved this. Also the TM Racing, and big thanks also to Claudio Flenghi that passed away less than 1 month ago. So yeah, him helped us today. So thanks. Yeah, last year was really hard for me, but you know, what this doesn't kill you make you stronger. So now I'm a bit stronger compared last year, and I think everyone can see it. But you know, second weekend will be even stronger than this weekend. So I'll do my best to try to take this championship, and you know, we will see at the end what we can do. But anyway, I'm so happy for the result of today.
It was very long, yeah. I got an okay start, but then in the first corner Alex crossed me, and after that basically everybody was going same pace, even then maybe had some more speed, but it was very difficult to try to find the place to overtake and end up like this. Yeah, we got good points from qualifying heats. We finished first and now second in the final. So we are looking for the next round, and we try to do better, because I think we have a good material, and thanks for the team for the hard work, because I think we are this year being very competitive in all the races. So this is very positive and promising for the future as well.
I'm happy for the podium, but I'm disappointed for my race because I made a mistake for the start, and this cost no super result for the team, for the TM. I have a very good feeling with my kart, with my engine, but repeat, I made a big mistake at the start. I lost very time and nothing. I want a compliment to my teammate Alex Orlando for the victory and for all the team.
Well, we work strong with the all KZ driver. It's all fast. Only it's a good job from Alex Orlando. Start for the pole, start with the first line, have the very good first lap, and him take the one of the race. And but every driver of the 10 is faster, and I'm happy about this.
So the European KZ and KZ2 championships are already half over, as Alessandro Irlando and Victor Gustafsson take an early advantage for the Birolart group. But as we saw in 2019, everything can still change dramatically. So while it is time to celebrate, nobody is resting on their laurels. In the academy, we now have half a dozen drivers able to compete for victory after Adria. But with Connor Zilic having a clear advantage, it'll be exciting to see how things unfold. A week from now, the FIA Karting European Championship moves to Sarno, where the OK and Junior categories resume their battle. So from Adria we say, arrivederci!